Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're on day 3 of the Pat McGrath Opulence Small Palette Collection. And today I'm going to be talking about the Subversive Metalmorphosis 6-pan palette. It's the one that comes in the pink packaging. So yesterday I covered the Dark Star one, which came in the blue packaging. And the day before I covered the bronze, I will never remember this name, Bronze Temptation palette that came in the red packaging. So we're going to be covering the Metalmorphosis today. If you're interested in seeing some swatches, hear my review on this palette, watch me do a demo of this eye look, then just keep on watching. All right, let me just get out of the way a few things that I've already mentioned in both videos previously. I purchased all 3 of these palettes off of the Pat McGrath site. I purchased the bundle, which is $125 for all 3. I used the 10% off coupon that they had on launch day, and I think the day after too. I think it lasted 48 hours. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. You can purchase these palettes individually for $55 each, and they are available on the Pat McGrath site and the Sephora site. The Sephora sale is going on, I don't think right at this moment, but the sale will start again this weekend, I think for Rouge and VIB members. I can't remember, but that second tier. And then the weekend after, it'll be that third tier, I think just Insider is what they're called. Anyway, now is a good time to purchase these palettes if you are interested, if you want to take advantage of the 20% off or the 15 or the 10% off during the Sephora sale. So let's take a look at this palette. Here is the packaging. Again, very, very similar or the exact same pretty much to all the other 6-pan palettes except for the outer artwork. So we've got a pink theme for this one, and we have the same kind of gilded jewel pattern on the outside, and then we have this button elastic closure, and again this flap is magnetized. So why don't I go ahead and open this up. We have a mirror on the inside. So here's a close look at the 6 shadows on the inside. You will see immediately that we don't have any matte shades at all in this. So the word metalmorphosis for this palette is a great description. It's incredibly shimmery and incredibly metallic. So let me go ahead and just show you some swatches from this palette. So I'm going to start from the top row and go from left to right. So first we have Metallurgy, which is almost like a dirty gold, like an antique gold color. Next to that, we have Copper, which is like a deep kind of burnt orange color. And then next to that, we have Sterling, which is a really, really bright white, silvery, shimmery tone. Really beautiful. And then on the bottom row, we have Smoked Amethyst, which is the one shade that has a little bit of a different formula than the rest. And then we have Bronze, which is like a metallic orange shade. And then we have Gold Standard, which is like a 24 karat gold shimmery metallic shade. So there are 2 shades in this palette that have appeared previously, and they appeared in the Mthrshp 4 Decadence palette. So here you'll see that the silver and the gold shades have been repeated in this Metalmorphosis palette, but the rest have not been. There's some very similar shades, but they're all like a little bit different. So what I also want you to do is just hold them up to the other Subversive palettes. These are pretty different. Again, there's like some similarities or maybe the possibility of a similarity. Like I thought maybe the gold in the original 6-pan Subversive palette would be similar to this one, but you can see that it is much cooler in tone. It's not quite as yellow. And then everything else is very different. And then here is the original Subversive Mthrshp palette. And I'm just going to hold that up next to this Subversive 6-pan. And again, nothing very similar there. But of course, because the word metalmorphosis was used, I had to go ahead and pull out the Metalmorphosis kit. I think it was the 004-5? I think it was 004, I'm sorry. This was the kit that had all of the different metal shades. Now these shadows are gonna look very similar to what we have going on. Like this gold one is very, very similar, but the formula of these that come with the clear case and it has like that dome top, these are all like baked and feel and appear very, very different. They almost have more of a foiled effect, where these shadows just kind of have this like creamy metallicness. But in this kit was also, oh, okay, sorry, these are labeled. So I think this kit number was 005. Anyway, this kit also included these cream shadows that came with the black covers, and these definitely have a more similar feel to the shadows in this palette, but they're still pretty different. Let me just go ahead and show you. In case you have this kit and you were thinking, do I need this? They are pretty different. The tones are very different. So this is like the silver one, and it's just a little bit dirtier. It's not as clean looking as this particular silver. I don't know if you can tell the difference there. Let me swatch these. So this is the one in the palette, and then this is the one that was in the kit. So you can see it has like a hint of taupiness, especially when you swatch it right next to that one. And I will say that I find the shadows that came in the kit to be even more smooth than the shadows that come in the palette. So I have to say I like the quality of these shadows more. But let me go ahead and swatch. This one is the gold cream, and this one, again, it just has like a little bit of a dirtier kind of tone to it. So here's the kit, and then here's the palette. So kit and palette, and you can see the palette is just brighter in tone than the kit. And then here is the kit copper, which actually looks a little bit closer to the bronze, but we also have a bronze from the kit. So anyway, let me just compare copper to copper. So here is the copper from the kit, and then here is the copper from the palette. So that is very, very different. So kit and palette. And then here is the bronze kit single. The formula of these, amazing. I wish you would bring back that formula. Not that I dislike this formula, but this one is just a little bit better. So that was, what did I just do? That was bronze from the kit. And then this is bronze from the palette. And this one is just kind of like a straight up orange. It's much, much brighter. So that's the palette. They're definitely different. The formula is definitely different. And I have to say that I really do like the formula in the kit better than the palette. But the palette formula is the same as the other palette metallic formula. I mean, it's great. It's great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I just like these a little bit better. So I really love this palette. This was, to me, similar to the Dark Star palette that I just reviewed yesterday. All the shadows for me performed really, really nicely. The 5 like metal shadows here, so the top 3 and then these bottom 2, all have a very similar feel. They have that creamy, silky feel that we've come to know and love from Pat McGrath, especially her metallics. They're really beautiful. This one is like the green shadow in the Bronze Temptation. It has a really dark, smoky base, and then there's a little bit of shimmer in there, and then there's like a little bit of glitter in there. This is definitely smoother to the touch, and I think performs a little bit better than the green shade in the Bronze Temptation. So I do prefer this one a lot. And you'll see in my demo that I almost didn't use this one, but I figured I would go ahead and use it to kind of like darken out the outer corners of my eyes, give my eyes a little bit more dimension. And I'm glad that I did, because it really kind of like brings the look home, I think. As for all the other shades, again, just absolutely gorgeous. And I have the same very super minor complaint with this palette that I did with the Dark Star, is that there's really no like transition shade or starter shade for me in this palette. This is like a great kind of like auxiliary palette to another one that you may have if you've laid down a few matte colors and then you just want to amp it up with like one kind of like shimmery color. I think it's awesome. I think this one is also great if you missed the Decadence palette. That one was limited edition. It has sold out. The rumor has it that it is coming back. So if you either can't wait for it to come back, or you don't want to spend the $125 and you prefer just to get kind of something smaller and a little bit more portable, I think this is a great kind of like stand-in for the Decadence palette. Obviously the Decadence palette has a lot more shades going on in there. Nope, that's the Subversive. Obviously the Decadence palette has a lot more shades going on in here, but you get pretty much like all the metallics that you want. You get the gold, the silver, the copper, the bronze, this like antique gold in here. So you have like all the metals covered. So I think this is just such a fun palette. I think this is perfect for the holiday season. This palette, I feel like if you have all the basics in your collection and maybe you're a little bit bored with it or whatever, or maybe you've been doing the same eye look over and over again, this I think is a great palette to kind of add if you want to, you know, lay down just like a really natural kind of eye look, but but then just, you know, throw this color right onto the center of your lid or your inner corner just to amp it up a little bit. Maybe you get a little bit more daring and you use like the bronze or the copper. So I think this is a great addition to anyone's collection if you find maybe your eyeshadows are just, I don't know, like you're kind of buying the same like neutral matte browns over and over again. I am guilty of that. We kind of, you know, we gravitate towards what we like. But if you want to just amp it up a little bit, especially for the holiday season, this I think would be a great addition. So if you're interested in seeing me do a demo for this eye look, then just keep on watching. Okay, so I'm looking at the Subversive Metalmorphosis 6-pan palette, and again, sort of like yesterday's Dark Star video, I don't see a shade that I can really start with. This is definitely a palette that needs to be paired with something else, I think, unless you're just gonna go for like one metallic swipe of a shadow. So I took out my Bronze Seduction palette, which is the Mthrshp 5 palette. I'm gonna go into this dark brown matte shade and just start there. Again, give myself some place to start. Otherwise, I don't know what I would do with these metal shades. So I'm going to just dip my Tom Ford blending brush in here and do the same thing I pretty much do in every eye demo, but I'm going to start by deepening up my outer corner and my socket area. All right, now that I have a little bit of dimension going on my eyes, I feel a little bit more comfortable going into this palette. So I know I want to use this copper shade up here. I think this is just, it's such a pretty color. This shade I think is maybe just a little bit too orange for me. I feel like I used a shade similar to this in yesterday's Dark Star look. I feel like I've been using a lot of gold lately because of the Natasha Denona gold palette. So I thought I would kind of work with this one and maybe these two or these two. We'll see. So I'm going to go in with a flat shader brush into this copper color. I've got my Hakuhodo J5523, and I'm actually going to start a little bit on the outer portion of my eye, maybe not as far out as where I put that matte color down, but definitely towards the outer corner of my eye, and just bring that in towards the center of my eye. This pigmentation is unbelievable. It really is. I'm picking up like the littlest amount of product and just kind of patting it gently down, and it's like bam in your face. And I'm not experiencing any fallout with that copper color. All right, I think I'm going to go into Metallurgy. I was thinking about going into this silver color, but I think it's a little bit too like white for what I'm doing. So I'm going to use this shade, and I'm going to take another flat shader brush. I'm going to use my Wang number 6 brush and go into Metallurgy. And I'm just going to place this like on the inner portion of my lid. That pigmentation is out of control. And I'm just running this blending brush over where the Metallurgy and the copper meet and just blending those two together. I don't think I'm going to need another shade to help blend. I think these guys are doing a pretty good job on their own. All right, I think I will use a bit of this smoked amethyst, just a tiny bit. So I'm going to use my Pat McGrath brush from the Dark Star 006 kit, and I'm going to go into smoked amethyst and very lightly see if I can just deepen this outer corner out just a little bit, just to kind of make it a little bit smokier. So I think I'm done with the eyeshadow palette. I feel like if I try to squeeze in like another shade on here, it would just start to look a little bit crazy. So I'm going to stop there with the actual eyeshadow palette, but I do think this look deserves a liquid liner. So I'm going to use my Pat McGrath liquid eyeliner. So here's the Pat McGrath Perma Precision liquid eyeliner. I purchased this when it like first came out. I feel like over the holidays maybe. Don't really remember anymore. I definitely made a bigger wing than I meant to. All right, that's it for the liquid eyeliner. I am going to finish up the rest of my face off camera, and I'll be right back. All right, so here's my completed look. I will link to everything down below in the description box, what I have on my face. But I love this palette. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's a lot of fun. Like I mentioned in the intro, I think it's a great like companion palette to any other kind of palettes that you may have in your collection that you think are a little bit safe. a little bit too neutral maybe. Maybe it's an all matte palette. Maybe it's a palette that you've been using forever. I think this one is great for that. You can just kind of like throw on one of those metallics and just completely change up your look. And I think that is great for the holiday season. So I think this was super, super timing on Pat McGrath's part. So that wraps it up for the Pat McGrath Opulence Collection palettes. So I hope you enjoyed this video and the last two that I've done. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know down below in the comment section which ones you picked up, which one is your favorite. I'm really torn. Someone asked me like to do a conclusive video kind of wrapping up about like all three, probably the pros and cons of each and everything. I think I need a little bit more time with them. I do have a feeling they'll probably pop up in my November favorites. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe I'll do a dedicated video to that. But anyway, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.